feeling? Is everybody healthy and available for the start of camp?
Nick Paul has an upper body injury. He needed surgery last Friday. Expect he will be out until the first part of November. And Nico Huhtinen is out with a lower body injury. I would say he's probably week to week at this point. He should be ready in time for the start of Syracuse's season. I'm not sure exactly how much ahead of that he will be ready.
And Connor Kerr?
Oh, Connor Kerr, thank you. Yeah, Connor Kerr is also out day-to-day right now.
Was Nick's injury a training situation?
No, something he'd been dealing with most of last season, to be honest. Then we tried every conservative method of getting him back to 100% over the course of the summer, and everything we tried just wasn't working. And as we got closer to the start of the season, decided this was probably best to be addressed through surgery, which we did last week, and that was the fastest way of getting him back to 100% at this point.
Last spring, how's he feeling doing with his rehab?
Yeah, he's made a full recovery. When I talked to him over the summer, he was doing great and had already started training, and I saw him here in Tampa the last few days, and he's excited to be healthy and get a full season playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning and showcasing what he can do, and I think he's going to be a really productive player for us this season.
Julien, as you look at the roster you have constructed, obviously Nick's injury now changes things maybe a little bit, but you didn't make a lot of changes, right? And last year there was a lot of big changes coming into the season. This year what's the difference when you're kind of constructing a roster from year to year?
Well, needs and opportunities to address those needs, and looking at the roster we had, coming out of last season with the addition of Yanni Gourde, with the addition of Oliver Bjorkstrand, with some of our young players pushing and looking like they are ready to help us win games at the NHL level. There just wasn't a lot of opportunities to, and I knew there wouldn't be a lot of opportunities going back to prior to the trade deadline. That's why I thought it was really important for us to try to add 2 players if we could at that point, because there weren't going to be a lot of opportunities in the summer, both via the trade market or free agency. So we tried to get ahead of it, and that's why we ended up getting Oliver and Yanni, with a thought being at the time that Oliver had another year of term, and Yanni we felt fairly confident considering the relationship with the player and our history with the player that we'd be able to work a deal and keep him longer term within the organization, which we ended up being able to do in the off season. So going into free agency, I actually didn't think we would do anything as we got closer to July 1. Nothing out there that made sense. And then Pontus Holmberg, a little bit to our surprise, didn't get qualified by Toronto for salary cap management reasons. So he became a free agent, and we thought he would add something to our group. We want to be really stingy defensively. He adds to that. He's a really good defensive board. He's still young enough, versatile enough. Mostly plays center, can play the wing, can kill penalties, and he's young enough, as I was mentioning, that he still has, I think, some untapped potential from a production standpoint. And he would take a little bit of pressure off some of our younger guys having to step in right away at the start of the season and play a big role. If they can do that and they're ready, great. But this way, having Pontus on board, I think it makes us an even better defensive team, and it gives our young guys a little more time to work their way into the lineup.
You lost such a big part of it was the power play after losing Steven, but it seemed like when you got Bjorkstrand, right before he got hurt, especially, that you kind of fit into that role. I mean, do you go in looking at the power play right now and thinking that now that do you have him back healthy, that there is a little bit more stability to it, I guess?
More of it's the coaches are going to have more options, I think, this year in terms of players available to them than in years past. Because in years past, the cap being what it was and our situation being what it was, we usually had these are our 12 forwards, these are our 7 D. Sometimes there were maybe some decisions in terms of which D would play over the last couple of years, but the forwards were kind of set. This year, Coop and his crew are going to have options, including how they utilize our personnel in the power play. I would tell you, I'm not concerned with the power play. We were top 5 last year. Pretty good power play. I think we were top 5 the entire year. We were first for a while. We ended up 5th, I think. if you're in the top 10 power player penalty kill, whether you're first or 9th, 10th, there's not a big difference in terms of winning and losing hockey games. So I really like the personnel we have. I'm not sure who's going to be on the roster, but I think it's going to be a really strong roster, really talented roster, and really deep roster. So excited to see how it all comes together.
And in terms of, you know, that fine line, you know, of when you guys had won cups, you know, you beat some teams that were cup contenders that you had some really tough, you know, series against, and you build that momentum. Obviously, the past couple of years you've lost to the team that ended up winning the cup. You know, what is that fine line? I mean, what is that fine line as you build this roster, and do you think you've kind of addressed, you know, have you closed that gap, I guess, as small as it is, maybe?
Yeah, you're even if we won the cup last year, I'm sure Billy Zito in Florida, he's still trying to improve his team. Like it's a never-ending job. You're always trying to get better because that's how you increase your odds of winning, regardless of where you are in the standings. So it never ends. You're always looking to be better. I think our metrics, we've talked about this at the end of last season, goals against, goals for, power play, PK, goal differential, 5-on-5 play. We checked a lot of boxes. We still went out and tried to do even better, try to improve the roster at the deadline, try to improve the roster this off season. So you're always looking to improve your roster. I think it's exciting for us now is some of that growth might be internal, it might be organic. We have some young players that are going to be pushing to play a bigger role, I think, and it'll be exciting to see if they're able to do that and how quickly they'll be able to do that.
Julian, one of the changes you did make was on the bench, right? Jeff gets the job in Chicago.
I didn't make that change.
Yeah,
Jeff got a great hockey for himself.
But you bring in Dan.
Yeah.
Like you bring in Dan, you know, to kind of add to it. Like what's some of Dan's strengths that makes him a good fit for the staff?
I think, well, he has a lot of experience both as a player and as a coach. Has worked for some really good organizations and coached some good players and good teams. Has an interesting background as a player. Started his college career at West Point. You don't see that very often. So he just has an interesting background, and I find every time we've had coaching changes, we brought in Derek Lalone one year, and then he got a great opportunity for himself, and then we brought Jeff Blashill in, and now Jeff got a great opportunity for himself, and Dan's coming in. They bring us a fresh perspective. The blessing is we've had enough success to have stability and continuity in our staff. The challenge with that is that we might have some blind spots because it's the same people all the time. So when we get a fresh perspective coming in, I thought it was true when we got Newsy, I thought it was true when we got Jeff, and it's proving to be true right now with Dan, is they bring a fresh set of eyes to how we do things, to our players, how we coach our players, how we see our players, how we utilize our players, even our operations, and there's a lot of value in having that fresh set of eyes and that fresh perspective for someone who's been here for a long time like me or from Coop.
Got your first look at Sam O'Reilly up close during prospect camp. Just quick impressions on him.
He's exactly what we thought. No nonsense, professional, gamer, really smart hockey player. He's the type of guy that the more you watch him play, the more you're gonna like him. He's so smart. He does so many things out there that are winning hockey type actions. So we're really excited to have him in the organization, and look forward to seeing what he'll do during this camp here. Still a young player. Realistically, I think he still has some development that needs to take place physically, experience-wise, in order to help us win in Tampa in the short term. But really like his upside, really like what he can bring to the table.
Julian, when you, sorry, go ahead.
You've brought in younger players over the last few years, whether it's Hagel, Moser, Gensel, even Paul. You also have a lot of players with long track records, history of accomplishment in this league that maybe are moving into their mid-30s. Where do you see the window of opportunity on this team right now with that mix?
Well, I think the only two guys that would qualify for mid-30s are McDonagh and Hedman, probably, right?
Yeah.
Who's playing his 31 season, I think, this year, turned 32. I think the guys we have right now, they're all going to be really good players for a long time. I think the only two that would qualify for being mid-30s players are Hedman and McDonagh. Those two are elite hockey players, elite athletes, and they are the exception to the rule. They're guys that are gonna still be able to perform at a high level going into their late 30s, maybe even early 40s.
The contract with McDonagh and played all 82 games last year. And how do you kind of balance like what he's done and what he can do, and knowing, all right, we got to have that conversation at some point? Is that something you do during the season? Maybe you table it till after?
We're going to table everything till after. At least that's the plan right now. That's my expectation. That's what's going to happen. Obviously, we have Mac that needs a contract at the end of the season. We have a few others: Oliver Bjorkstrand, JJ Moser, Emil Lilleberg, Mitch Chafee, Darren Radish. I think those are the guys that were in Tampa last year and who need contracts at the end of the season. And it's not a judgment on them. We're not doing like in a salary cap world, you're not doing contracts in a vacuum. It's always how all the pieces fit together to build the best puzzle and assemble the nicest, best picture, best roster possible. And how you allocate those dollars is important. We have time right now. We're going to use that time. I think that's the wisest course of action for us. When we traded for Ryan McDonagh, I told him the plan was to not only have him finish his career, his contract here, but sign another contract after that. My expectation is that's what's going to happen. Just like when we traded for Yanni Gourde, I told him at the time, like, I'm not bringing you in as a rental. My expectation is that we're going to work together on getting a contract done. Yanni worked with us, we got a contract done. Now he gets to stay here. We get to keep having his services help us win games in Tampa. That's what I'm hoping, expecting will happen after the season with Ryan McDonagh. He's led the league in plus minus last year. He went to the USA camp, has a shot at making the Olympic team. He's still an elite defender in this league and a phenomenal leader. So even if his play slips eventually, and Father Time is undefeated, he will still help us win with all the intangibles he brings to the table. Because not only are we a better team because of his individual play, but because of how he makes everyone around him better. So, super important player to us, super important leader to us, and I fully expect that to be the case going forward beyond this season as well. Last season, Florida had a couple players that went to this season, key players for them that were going to be unrestricted free agents. They played out the year, they won a cup, they ended up re-signing in Florida. I'm hoping that'd be a great way for us to do a contract with Mac after the season, after winning another championship.
To make moving forward, that weren't there before.
I think it's going to impact how teams operate at the deadline. Our use of LTI, or long-term injury exemption, is now reduced as well. Like, if you have a player that's going to come back, even though over the course of the season you can't fully replace the value of that player's cap hit. So that's lucky for us right now. We're healthy, so it doesn't affect us, but it's affecting other teams around the league. And at the deadline, there are two changes. One is you can't have a double retention anymore. So we did that last year when we got Yanni Gourde. Detroit paid 25% of his contract. Seattle paid 50% of his contract. We got Yanni Gourde for 25%. Now, unless a player that's already had some retention has been with the team that's trading him for 75 days, there can't be a second retention. It's not most really at the deadline. You're getting a player at 50% off, not 75% off. We've done the 75% off scenario with David Savard in 2021 as well. So that option's now off the table for teams, not just us, but all teams. And the other factor is if you accrue cap space, which for most years we weren't in a position to do, but we were last year and we should be this year, whoever you bring in, you have to be able to fit them under the new playoff salary cap as well. So accruing cap space becomes less valuable because whoever's coming in, come playoff time, you need to kick out pretty much the same amount of money. So you're not adding to the existing roster that's probably a playoff roster. If you're adding at the deadline, you're now substituting. So it makes it a little less appealing. So it'll be interesting to see how this all translate, not just for us, but throughout the league around the trade deadline. I think that's where we're going to see it. The other thing we're going to see, I think, is the use of maybe a third goalie to back up in the playoffs. If you need the extra cap space and your third goalie has a lower cap number than your number 2 goalie, it's a way to create some cap space.
Julian, not to get too much in the weeds on this, if you can give us a simple answer, that'd be great. So in the playoffs, that cap number is related to the 18-2 that you're
correct
addressing. So like, where are they coming up with that number exactly? Because it's less than the 23 that you would have during regular season.
Well, you would have to ask the league and the PA. They came up with the number, but essentially they're using the salary cap number that you have throughout the season to keep a 23 healthy player roster, and they're now saying that's your cap for your 20-man lineup in the playoffs. So you do have 3 fewer players, so there's a little bit of cushion there.
Julien, what do you expect from a guy like Connor Geekie? Last year made a really strong impression early on, sent him down. When he came back, it looked like it really benefited him. How important is he to kind of fill in that gap for Nick Paul, at least until November? And do you expect him in the middle, on the wing? Like, where do you expect him as far as his contributions?
I would say where he fits in the lineup is a Coop decision. The good part for us is Connor can play various positions and can fill different roles for us already. What am I expecting from him personally? I'm expecting him to take a step. I know he's put in the work this summer. I spent a lot of time working with our development people. Was very diligent about it on the ice, off the ice. He's one of the players I'm excited to see how big of a step he's taken during this offseason.
Julien, just for fans out there, what are some other younger players, newer players that you brought in that you're most excited for to see them in training camp?
I'm excited to see all of them. We just had our prospect showcase, and honestly, when you go into an event like that, to put it into perspective, these players don't really have a history playing together. There's no chemistry going in. We get 2 practices and then we start playing games, so there's no time really to implement any type of structure or system. So my expectation for events like that, from an execution standpoint, my expectations are fairly low, because it'd be unfair to expect more, because you need to build that chemistry through reps, and these young players don't get those reps. So what am I looking for in an event like that? I'm looking to see who's not going to be intimidated by the moment, who's going to be assertive, who's going to step up and compete. And to a man, our guys all did that this weekend, even though we had the youngest roster of the 4 teams playing in Wesley Chapel. Our guys didn't play like they were the youngest guys out there. They were competitive, they were physical, they were assertive, they were trying to make plays. If they made a mistake, they bounced right back. I was really impressed with the mindset of that young group of players that's coming in. Kudos to our scouting staff. I usually leave them very few picks in the first 3 rounds, no first round picks. So they have to find players later on in the draft, and they seem to have done that. Kudos to our coaching staff who were able to bring them together, get them organized, get them in the right frame of mind to compete over the weekend. If I'm going to name 2, I'm going to name 2 just because I think they're a really good example of the quality work our scouts do. Harry Mennigan and Caleb Hale, both goaltenders there. I thought they played phenomenally well. They looked really good at our summer development camp as well. Now we got to see them playing games. If you look at, those are both 7th-round picks. One won the Puff MVP and won the Memorial Cup last year. They played the Memorial Cup. The other one is vying for maybe a spot on Team USA's World 20 team at the World Championships as a 7th-round pick. Those are really good finds. They're, I would say, really good value propositions considering where they were drafted. Their talent is way above that of a 7th-round pick. So kudos to our scouting staff led by John Rosso, our goalie scout, Jared Wayman. Those look like 2 really promising young players.
And then also with Coop entering his 13th full season as head coach, just what have you seen from him now versus the younger Coop, and how have you seen him just develop and grow throughout the years?
That'd be a long answer. The thing with Coop is he came in, even when we hired him, and the reason we hired him was because of his leadership skills, and they haven't gone anywhere. He's still a fabulous leader. He's still very charismatic, really, really smart, works hard, still hungry for more. I've been fortunate to work with him at the minor league level and work with him here both as assistant GM for a while, now as the GM. But now we also have this new relationship with Team Canada where I'm assistant GM and he's the head coach, and get to see him work with those players. He's an impressive head coach. We're very fortunate to have him. And he's part of the reason why I'm optimistic about this season. I think we have a lot of talent on the we're gonna have a lot of talent on the ice and behind the bench.
Good.